Hello everyone! First of all, this video is made to fulfill the assignment in the basic analysis of drama course taught by Mr. Naban Khairan in the Department of English, State University of Malang. This is Aisha Eka and Diva Sania as representatives of Group 6, and now we're gonna talk about drama in the modern era. So, modern era of drama signifies the struggle for self-realization and freedom. The modern drama went into decline during the Victorian era, which was revived in great force in the early 20th century. There are many trends and currents during this century. However, the drama of the modernist movement in England indeed was less innovative in technique than its poetry and novels. And when does this period happen? The early modern drama period happens from 1880 to 1960 and it expands until the present. Modern drama represents a huge society economy changes in philosophy and art. That is beginning to appear Age of Enlightenment. According to Bangladesh world history, the Age of Enlightenment was a philosophical movement that dominated the world of ideas in Europe in the 18th century. It was influenced by two revolutions. 1. The 19th century Industrial Revolution where widespread technological advances occurred. 2. The French Revolution in 1789 where the monarchy was overthrown and replaced temporarily by democratic egalitarianism.
Let's move to the history of modern drama. There are categories of modern English drama here that reflect different phases of modern English drama. The first phase. This phase was marked by the plays of G.B. Shaw and Joel Goldsworthy. Next is the second phase. This phase consists of the plays of the Irish movement contributed by some elitists like Yeats, containing the spirit of nationalism. And the last is the third phase. This phase contains plays by T.S. Eliot and Christopher Fry. It saw the composition of poetic dramas inspired by the earlier Elizabethan and Jacobean tradition.
Now we're gonna talking about the characteristic of modern drama. The most significant character of modern English drama is realism. Realism popularized by a Norwegian dramatist Henrik Ibsen in the earlier of the 20th century. Realism deals with the real problem of life in realistic technique to their plays such as marriage, justice, law, administration, and strife between capital and labor. This character developed what we call problem plays. For example, A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. Modern drama is a drama of ideas rather than action. This drama is used to express certain ideas they want to spread to society, and with realism the drama became a drama of ideas and the ideas even sometimes implicit in the main action. Romanticism became a new trend in modern drama for some years of the 20th century. It was mainly due to Sir G. M. Barrie's efforts that the new wave of Romanticism swept over modern drama. He left the realities of life and went to the world of romance.
Not only Romanticism, but poetic plays were also the dominant form of drama in Europe. It basically written as a verse to be spoken and performed. Poetic drama is particularly associated with the seriousness of tragedy and provides an artistic reason to write in this form. T.S. Eliot was the main dramatist who particularly gave importance to poetic plays and realistic prose drama. Another characteristic is the use of history and biography for dramatic technique. For example, Saul, Caesar, and Cleopatra, which are historical plays of great importance. Realism in modern drama are also became an expression of the hopes and aspirations of the Irish people from remote ways to their times. This trend is introduced by Irish dramatists like Yeats and J.M. Saint and brought about the Celtic culture in the literature.
Modern drama is the revival of comedy of manners. A comedy of manners is a play concerned with satirizing society's manners. According to Justin Cass in his article, a comedy of manners usually implies an equal amount of both satire and farce resulting in hilarious stand-up of a particular social group. Oscar Wilde, Malcolm, and Ian Coward have done much to revive the comedy of wit in our days. Impressionism is another important feature of modern drama. The impressionistic drama of the modern age 6 to suggest the impressions on the artist rather than making an explicit statement about the objective characteristic of things or object. As stated in Wikipedia, impressionistic literature can basically be defined as when an author centers his story or attention on the character's mental life, such as the character impressions, feelings, sensations, and emotions, rather than trying to interpret them. For example, in the plays written by illustrators like W.B. Yeats and G.M. Singe.
And the last prominent feature of modern drama is expressionism. That movement originated in Germany and marks an extreme reaction against naturalism. It expressed the feelings and emotions of the people rather than objects and events. But it wasn't concerned with society, the man, and it aimed to offer subjective psychological analysis. The dialogue of expressionist drama was cryptic and patterned on prose, and was opposite from the naturalistic prose of the realist school. Saint O'Casey, C.K. Munro, and Elmer Rice are those who popularized expressionism in drama. Next, let's talk about who are the major playwrights in this era, in modern era. There were many major scriptwriters who were famous in this era, and here are the names of the famous authors. The three people below play an important role in this era. The first one we have Samuel Berkeley Beckett. He was an Irish novelist, playwright, short story writer, theater director, poet, and literary translator. A resident of Paris for most of his adult life, and he wrote in both French and English. Second, we have Harold Pinter. He was a British playwright, screenwriter, director, and actor, and a Nobel Prize winner. Pinter was one of the most influential modern British dramatists with a writing experience of more than 50 years. And the last one we have Andrew Lloyd Webber. He is an English composer and impresario of musical theater. In 2001, the New York Times even referred to him as the most commercially successful composer in history. Besides them, here are the names of other playwrights that contribute to the modern era as well. We have Andrew Boval, Annie Besant, Arthur Miller, Vladimir Mayakovsky, Saint O'Casey, Tennessee Williams, and others.
Like other eras, modern drama also has several major works. First, we have realism and myth. Sigmund Freud inspired an interest in myth and dreams as playwrights became familiar with his studies of psychoanalysis. Along with the help of Carl Jung, the two creatives influenced the playwrights to incorporate myths into their plays. This integration allowed for new opportunities for playwrights to increase the boundaries of realism within their writing. As playwrights started to use myths in their writing, a poetic form of realism was created. This form of realism deals with truths that are widespread amongst all humans, supported by Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious. The next one is poetic realism. Much of the poetic realism that was written during the beginning of the 20th century focused on the portrayals of Irish peasant life. John Millington Synge, W.B. Yeats, and Lady Gregory were but a few writers to use poetic realism. Their depiction of peasant life was often unappealing and many audiences reacted cruelly. Many poetically realistic plays often have unpleasant themes running through them, such as Last Between a Son and His Stepmother or The Murder of Baby to Prove Love. These plays use myths as substitute for real life to allow the audience to live the unpleasant plot without completely connecting to it. Next, we have woman. The female character in drama progressed from the downtrodden, useless woman to empowered and emancipated woman. Many female characters portray the author's masculine attitudes about women and their place in society. As time passed though females began to gain empowerment, J.B. Shaw became one of the first English playwrights to follow Ibsen's influence and create roles of real women. Mrs. Warren, Major Barbara, and Peg Million all have strong female leads. Women first started voting in 1918. Later in the century, females and males were both subjected to the alienation of society and routinely were not given names to suggest to the audience the characters worked within the play.
And the last one in major works we have political theater and war. Political theater used the theater to represent how a social or political order used its power to represent others coercively. It used live performances and often shows the power of politics through demeaning and limiting prejudice. Political theater often represents many different types of groups that are often stereotyped, such as women, gay men, lesbians, ethnic and racial groups, and also the poor. Political theater is used to express one's political ideas. Agitprop, a popular form of political theater, even had its roots in the 1930s women's rights movement. Propaganda played a big role in political theater, whether it be in support of war or opposition to political schemes. The theater played a big role in influencing the public. The wars also affected the elite theater of the 20th century. The consternation before the World War I produced the Dada movement, the predecessor to Surrealism and Expressionism. And here is an example of some famous works from the modern era. The first one is A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. Exposed the limited roles of women during its writing and the problems arising from the drastic imbalance of power between men and women. During playtime, Nora is treated like a child by the other characters. Next, set in the French Quarter of New Orleans, during the restless years following World War II, A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee is the story of Blanche Dubois, a fragile and neurotic woman on a desperate prowl for some place in the world to call her own. The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. A trivial comedy for serious people is a play by Oscar Wilde, first performed on 14 February 1895 at the St. James Theatre in London. It is a farcical comedy in which the protagonist maintains fictitious persona to escape burdensome social obligation.
Modern English drama also has some different types. The first type is realism drama. Realism in the theater means to be a direct observation of human behavior. Like we've said before, in the characteristic of modern drama, realism deals with the problem of marriage, justice, law, administration, and strife between capital and labor in the dramas. In the past, they had used mythological and stereotypical characters, but now they are involved with all genders, races, and classes. Henrik Ibsen was one of the contributors to this style of drama. For example, in his work A Doll's House, the focus is on the lack of option for women in society.
The second type is social realism. This type is more concerned with the condition of reality at the time. Here the reality of society is the inspiration to create works that give awareness to the community, the oppressed fighting against the oppressive system.
The next type is absurdist drama. The theater of absurd started in the early 20th century. It exists according to a philosophy that human is nothing and will die someday, renders man's existence as illogical and meaningless. It doesn't approve of tears of despair but the laughter of liberation. The playwrights that popularized this type, for example, are Samuel Beckett, Eugene Lyons, Jane Jeanette, and Arthur Adamov. Waiting for Godot, played by Samuel Beckett, is one of the absurdist drama, and some types of drama is also included in absurdist drama.
After that, we have Dadaism, which was the reaction against World War I, that represents disgust in colonialism and nationalism, and is the opposite of aesthetics and values. In this type, even more offense, the better. Next is Symbolism and Aestheticism, a very stylish format of drama, wherein dreams and fantasies were common plot devices. Symbolism and aestheticism rejects the mainstream of thought in realism and naturalism, and present an alternative set of concerns with language, with poetic form, with an evaluation of mental states, and the ideal world. and the most intimate recesses of human subjectivity.
Different from symbolism, surrealism has its base in the mystical. It developed the physicality of theater and downplayed words, hoping to influence its audiences through action. Our common characteristics of surreal plays are unexpected comparison and surprise. The most famous British playwright in the 20th surrealist style is Samuel Beckett. Theatre of Cruelty is a subset of surrealism and was motivated by an idea of Antonin Artaud. It argues that idea that theatre is a representational medium and tried to bring current ideas and experiences to the audience through participation and ritualistic theatre experiments. Artaud thought that theatre should present and represent equally. This type of theatre relies deeply on metaphor and rarely included a description of how it could be performed.
The last one in types of drama is expressionism. Usually didn't name the characters and spend much time lamenting the present and warning against the future. Expressionism had its popular day during the 20s, although it had two distinct branches. The branches had characters speaking in short, direct sentences or in long lyrical expanses. This type of theater usually didn't name the characters and spend much time lamenting the present and warning against the future. Spiritual awakenings and episodic structures were also fairly common. In the 1920s, Expressionism enjoyed a brief period of popularity in the theater of the United States, including plays by Eugene O'Neill like The Hairy Ape, The Emperor Jones and the Great God Brown, by Sophie Treadwell like Machinal, by Legis Agri like Private Transit, and by Alma Rice, The Adding Machine. Alright everyone, that's all about the drama in the modern era from us Group 6. Thank you for your attention. We hope that the material presented is easy to understand. All sources before are already in the description box for further information. And if you have questions or opinions, please feel free to drop it in the comment down below. Don't forget to click like and share this video if you think this video is helpful. Thank you!